So Washington, D.C. police arrested a Texas man outside of Vice President Kamala Harris's official residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory located in the nation's capital on Wednesday. He's now facing weapons and ammunition charges, according to CNN. A spokesperson for Washington's Metropolitan Police said officers responded at approximately 12 p.m. to the 3400 block of Massachusetts Avenue. A region-wide intelligence bulletin had been issued for the suspect. Law enforcement contacted the man, and he was detained by U.S. Secret Service. Now, D.C. police say officers arrested and charged 31-year-old Paul Murray of San Antonio, and that a rifle and ammunition were recovered from his vehicle. A police report obtained by CNN shows officers allege Murray was in possession of an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, which had 113 rounds of unregistered ammunition and 5 30-round magazines. I have talked about this how many times, you guys, that I feel like it was on our inauguration show. The first thing I said was I felt like, why are we giving out the address? Now, of course, I know, Brooke, you're thinking like it's super secure and like she's not the first person to live there. But for some reason, because of the race war that's going on right now, I'm like, people are not happy that a vice president is black in and near the White House. So I already felt like, why are we giving out her address? Of course, you guys, to let you know, she was not in the residence because it's being renovated. So her and her husband are at, I forgot where they are.
At Blair House.
Yes, they're at Blair House.
To that point, though, to be fair, it's been very publicized that she is not living at the Naval Observatory and that she's at Blair House. And he still went to the wrong place. So, you know, I get what you're saying, and I understand there's a huge threat. But also to that point, there was, I think, the same type of anger and racism when a black man became president. And nobody hid that he was living at the White House.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
But you're right. There is a threat, and a threat in ways that we've never seen before. And this is terrifying for anybody. The idea that somebody would show up to your house with this type of arsenal is terrifying, is scary. I think it's scary for people in our nation. The idea, you know, from a national security perspective, the idea that someone is willing to do something like this is scary from a national security standpoint. And personally, if it happened to you, I think we would all be telling a story if we said, oh, I wouldn't worry about it. So I get what you're saying, that you just want to protect our nation's vice president as best as possible.
Exactly.
And I think, to be fair, the Secret Service is doing that.
They did their job.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the story's going to unfold. Like, I want to see what happens when they start scouring his social media pages. I mean, somebody like this just doesn't make a move like this. He's talked about it online. You know, it's quite possible that he was there during the insurrection. You know, it's quite possible that he is, you know, a key player in all of this. So I'm really interested to find out. I mean, I kind of sort of thought that you might have gone to his social media pages because you do these deep dives sometimes, but nothing's been reported at.
No, I haven't seen anything on social media, but a lot of people are also pointing to Texas's looser gun policy.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So a lot of people were pointing the finger at Texas because, I mean, how did he get it from there to here? Also, like, how did he transfer it? Like, did you drive? But also, like, they're pointing the finger at Texas too about how was he able to obtain this much ammunition. So I'm sure we'll see.
We definitely have to, you know, as a nation, and have to revisit gun laws because the shooter in Atlanta on Tuesday, he had just purchased the gun that day. You know, so. Gun lobbyists, they are extremely powerful, but the reality of the situation is it's a problem that continues to be a significant problem in this country. So.
Lawmakers want to give gold medals to the law enforcement that protected the Capitol during the January 6th insurrection. The House just passed a bill to do just that in a vote of 413 to 12. All no votes came from Republicans. The bill highlights Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. He died while attempting to fend off the rioters. Language in the bill also mourns the loss of Capitol Police Officer Howard Libingu. All right, and so not only just him, Metropolitan Police Department Officer Jeffrey Smith as well. Sadly, you'll remember both officers took their own lives after the attack. Now, the bill praises Capitol Police Officer Eugene Gunman for diverting violent protesters away from the Senate chamber and notes more than 140 law enforcement officials were taken to the hospital. So you may be thinking, you know, those 12 Republicans who voted no, many of them had issue with some of the language in the bill, specifically how the language in the bill referred to the rioters. I think some had issues with them being called a mob of insurrectionists.
Okay.
And so that led them to voting no.
Well, Don Lemon was on CNN last night talking to Officer Harry Dunn, who is a Capitol Police officer. And as you know, he asked them several questions. As a police officer, he wanted us to give a description as to what it was like inside of the mob, because that's what it was. It was a mob of rioters, terrorists, and insurrectionists. So let's be clear on the language. We know what it is here at Fox Soul's Black Report. So he wanted us to give us a play-by-play of what that was like, how he felt, you know, like, you know, the adrenaline that he felt, the fear that he felt. And so, you know, as an officer sworn to keep the peace, also getting racial epithets thrown at him constantly. He's quoted as saying, one of his colleagues was called the N-word, and a group of terrorists approached him and said, "Oh, you think you're tough with that gun? Put that gun down and we will show you what type of N-word you really are." When I watched this interview, the first thing that I thought to myself was that Officer Harry Dunn is suffering from PTSD. It's written all over his face. He has that fight or flight look on his face. His eyes were darting back. And this is a man who's sitting there doing an interview with Don Lemon, CNN, and he's in the safety of his home, and he still harkens back to that moment and feels the exact same emotions and terror that he felt. These people do deserve awards. They do deserve medals and recognition for their valor and their bravery and their sacrifice. You know, so the 12 Republicans that had a problem with the language, these people don't need to occupy, you know, civil servantry jobs.
I agree with you, Melissa. So of those 12 Republicans, one of them was Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene. So you might have heard her name before. And so she's actually been stripped of her assignments of the Education and Labor Committee and the Budget Committee in February. All of her duties have been, you know, stripped from her because a lot of people feel as if she is problematic. So 72 Democrats have signed a motion to expel her from Congress and the reason why is because she actually filed a motion, you guys. You know, the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan that was being signed. She actually filed a motion to adjourn while they were about to sign it. She filed a motion to adjourn to hold up the process. She also did it again on H.R. 1. She also did it again during the George Floyd and Policing Act. So a lot of people feel like she is problematic. And then those 72 Democrats, they want to get her out of there. So they all signed a motion recently to expel her from Congress altogether. They've had it with her.